So I have a message coming through the HWT developing group on Facebook. It's a question regarding increasing success rate with hypnotic phenomena in impromptu hypnosis. I'm going to read the question out and then I'll address the points inside of it. So the question is, I'm a relative beginner, less than 1 year formal training, and I originally wanted to learn hypnosis for entertainment purposes. I've had good success with one-on-one therapeutic sessions, but so far I've not had much success with impromptu phenomena. I've commonly heard that 10% or whatever of subjects will be somnambulists, capable of catalepsy, amnesia, hallucination, etc. What is the HWT take on this? Do you get phenomena from most subjects? Do you go along the Arons scale and see how far you can get and then stop, or what? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say with this is hypnosis for me is about the skills on both sides of the equation. So when you're working with a subject, you're going to get subjects who are highly skilled at reshaping their reality using their cognitive faculties. They're what I call experiencers, people that go all the way in. I'm not a fan of this term somnambulist because it's got nothing to do with sleepwalking whatsoever. But certain people have an ability to really absorb themselves in such a way as to have whatever they're engaging with imaginatively, cognitively, become their reality. And they keep their critical faculty offline. They don't pick that apart. They're experiencers. On the other side of the coin, there are people I call reality testers. And they are people that bring their critical faculty to bear upon what is happening. They step back from it, they sit back from it, and they go, well, is this really real? Isn't this just this? Isn't this just that? And instead of going all the way into the trance that you're shaping for them when you're working with them, they step back from it, analyze it, pull it apart, pick it apart. Now, Dave Ellman recognized this when he used to teach hypnosis is about bypassing the critical faculty. For me, hypnosis is about bypassing the critical faculty, which is the dominant faculty of the reality tester, and engaging people with what you might call the creative faculty, which is the dominant faculty of the experiencer. Okay, and we all have both these faculties. We can all break things down with our critical faculty. We can all create and engage with and absorb ourselves in experience using our creative faculty. Now, because I see that all the hypnotic work that I do as being a partnership. I am working with somebody to assist them in engaging their creative faculty and taking their critical faculty offline. Please forgive me, there's a plane going by. I'm right by Santa Monica Airport at the moment, so that may happen from time to time. So yeah, it's about assisting people in engaging their creative faculty and stepping back from their critical faculty and experiencing fully the experience you want to help them shape and create. Now listen to my languaging around this. The experience you want to help them shape and create. One of the things that's always been a core value of Hypnosis Without Trance, and is so now more than ever, is that of collaboration. We are working with people. What we are assisting people in connecting with is of their creation. We are coaches. We coach that experience. Of course, we use our skills, our language skills, our communication skills, our knowledge of psychology to get that happening. But that's what our job is, that's what our role is. Now, I would say that most approaches to hypnosis do not take this view. They assume that so long as you say the right words, that there's some sort of pre-existing technique or pre-existing set of words that you can just deliver and that person will shift into the state, into the experience that you want them to shift into. That is not true. We are dealing with live, interactive feedback. So part of the process of developing yourself as a hypnotist is developing yourself across three areas. There's number one, there's your skill. This includes how you use words, how you use language, how you use communication. There is your skill. There is your repertoire. There is the words, the language and communication pieces and units that you habitually use. And there is your understanding. There is your understanding of human psychology that enables you to make the adjustments as you go. These are three big areas. There's a fourth area as well, which is your state, your personal state, your ground of being. So these things come in, they're all essential. And getting your game tight in all of these areas increases the chance of success in facilitating a hypnotic experience with somebody. So inside of this question is the do you get phenomena from most subjects? The straight answer to that is yes, I do. But the question is, what phenomena do I get? Going back to the original material in the Hypnosis Mastery Program, there's the idea of the hypnotic ladder. And maybe this relates to what is being called the Arons scale here. I don't know the Arons scale. I've always run by my own scale, if you like, or my own principle of the hypnotic ladder, which I teach in the Hypnosis Mastery Program, this idea of the hypnotic ladder. We start with things that most people can easily do, and we step up the hypnotic ladder. So that's a huge thing. What I used to teach, something I used to teach a lot, is that hypnosis is never 100%, but 100% of people can experience something. Meaning you're not really able to mind control people into experiencing exactly what you want, but you can always take them on a journey where they're going to experience interesting things. And once we begin that journey, we escalate, we step up the hypnotic ladder. Now, another principle that I've taught going way back, right from the Hypnosis Mastery Program going forward, is the idea of buy-in. Buy-in. This is the thing. You're going to increase your success rate, increase the hit rate of being able to facilitate experiences for people when you get good at engendering buy-in. And this means people are fully up for, they are fully bought into, number one, the activity you're about to engage them in. They are bought into it. They're not hanging back going, well, maybe, let's see. They're not in this wait and see space. They're buying and going, yeah, I want to do this. Let's do this. They're curious. They're fascinated. They're hooked. They want to find out more. They're engaged. Buy-in is crucial. It's not just buy-in for the process, not just buy-in for what you're doing. It's buy-in for you, right? There's buy-in for you. Two levels of buy-in that you want. You want buy-in for what you're going to invite the person to engage in, and buy-in for you as the person who is making that invite is going to be the facilitator of the experience. Now, once you get beyond the basics of hypnosis, simple things about words, the principles around pacing and leading, how you use language and communication to shape and create reality, the subtler stuff isn't around managing this buy-in. And there are some simple things that you can start doing right now. Number one is take off the table the idea that you are doing something to somebody. Take that off the table. Take it away. Replace it instead with the idea that you are assisting somebody in connecting with something of incredible value for them. Make it about them. Make it about them. Not just in your words, not just in your frames, but in your heart and in your mind. Make it about them. So, going beyond your heart and your mind and into the words, one of the simplest ways you can make something about somebody is, if you're going to do some hypnosis with somebody, ask them what it is they'd like to get from it. Check in ahead of time. Say, okay, we're just going to do some fun stuff here. We're just going to explore, play with the edges of a few things and see what's possible for you. But beyond that, if there was something you could get from this, if there were an idea, a seed that could drop into your unconscious mind, that if it were to flourish and blossom in your life would make an enormous difference to you, what is something that you would love to have? Something powerful, something significant that you would love to walk away from this experience with. Right? Get something from it. Now, I'm not talking about doing therapy out there on the street in an impromptu situation. I'm just opening up the possibility to somebody that they could get something really significant and life-changing even from this moment. Now, I've already really engaged somebody on that level, really engaged them, and this massively increases buy-in, okay? And here's the thing, I'm not doing this as a surface level ruse. I'm not doing this as a surface level ruse. I'm doing this as opening the door to genuine and real possibility here. And the feel of that, the vibe of that really counts. So this is something to be aware of in the setup. What if you were a magician? You were going to do some real magic with somebody, not to show off something, but to connect somebody with something, to make a real difference for them, to change the course of their lives. How about that? How about you show up with that energy? So there's another point. I'm going to chuck a few things in from a number of different directions here. One of the biggest failings that relates to what we've just said, that I think one of the biggest barriers that gets in the way of people being successful with hypnosis, is showing up with an attitude of something to prove. And this may be overt or it may be covert. But something I always teach people when I'm mentoring them privately is, if you show up in the world with an attitude of something to prove, don't be surprised when the world keeps asking you to prove yourself. Now, this is true in life. It's true in life across the board. It's also true in facilitating hypnotic experiences in impromptu contexts. If you show up with an attitude of something to prove, if you feel you need to prove yourself, prove hypnosis, prove your skill, whatever, it's going to get communicated. It's going to get sub-communicated in your non-verbals, maybe even your verbal framing that you're not consciously aware of. You will always speak from where you are at, and your words will always act hypnotically. Right? You will always speak from where you are at, and your words will always act hypnotically. If you're in a place of something to prove within yourself, that's going to come through. It's going to hypnotize somebody into the reality tunnel of there's something to be proved here. And this sets up this this sort of conflict, this sort of struggle. Well, let's prove and proving and this kind of tussle that goes on. And it might be subtle, it might not be overt. Okay, so watch for this inside of yourself, showing up with an attitude of something to prove. Now, something I want to add to that is, what that obviously means is, if you want to get to that level, this means doing some sort of internal work with yourself. And this is the thing most people that get into hypnosis don't get. And I'm not saying you have to go this far down the path with your own journey and learning hypnosis. But if you really want to up your game, if you really want to get to a place of mastery, there's internal work to be done with yourself. Because how you show up and how you engage, the trances you show up and engage through, are hugely powerful and hugely influential. Most people who study hypnosis don't want this. They don't even want to get to the level of skill. They just want technique. They want the technique that when you do it, when you say the magic words do the work for you. They don't want to go beyond that to the level of skill where they go, hang on a second. It's not just about what words I say. It's about how I use them, when I use them. It's about exquisite pacing and leading. It's about interpersonal feedback loops, paying attention to what's happening and unfolding, steering the course of things. People don't want to go to that level, but beyond that level, hardly anybody goes to the place of developing themselves from the inside out to be able to turn up and be solid. Be solid. Okay? Be grounded. Be totally grounded in where you're at, what you're doing, why you're doing it, all of this kind of thing. Now, when you start looking at these levels and taking care of things at these levels, success rate goes right up. It goes right up. There's no question about that. And I'm also aware, as I say this, some people might be kind of rounding their shoulders and going, I don't really want to get in that deep. I just want to be able to do these things. I want to get some quick party tricks together. And I'm not saying that any of this is necessary to get your quick party tricks together. I'm just saying this is the thing that's going to take you from 10% success rate to 20% to 30% and start getting you up 70, 80, 90. I don't know what my success rate is now. I don't know what it is because I'm so unattached to outcome. I can always facilitate somebody in getting some kind of experience. Sometimes that experience is going to be going as far as a hallucination, sometimes not. Depends how far along the hypnotic ladder we're going to go. But I'm always going to get people to connect with some kind of experience. Okay, a couple more tips here. And this video has not been organized. These are random tips that are just coming out as I come through. The other thing is becoming really clear about the experience you want to coach somebody in, knowing really clearly what it is that you want to create in terms of a very specific trance. Now, you know me as the Hypnosis Without Trance guy. If you've studied the Hypnosis Mastery Program or even got the original free report from hypnosiswithouttrance.com, you know I talk about hypnotic loops. When I talk about trances, I'm talking about the same thing as hypnotic loops. I'm not talking about a classic hypnotic trance that renders people open to suggestion. Every trance is unique and individual. Every experience is a trance, okay? And instead of thinking of depth, think of the shape of the trance. Use this metaphor, the shape of the trance. What are the specifics of this trance that I want somebody to experience? Now, one of the features of trance or a hypnotic loop is a narrowing of bandwidth with regard to what's included in terms of ideas, the ideas that somebody becomes wrapped around. James Braid talked about monoideism, the wrapping of the mind around a single idea. Now, I'm not saying there's a single idea at play here, but we're looking to narrow people's bandwidth. We want to narrow so as to exclude. There's a whole bunch we want to exclude. This becomes relevant when we're doing something like, let's pick a hand stick, something I classically teach early on when I'm teaching hypnosis. You take a hand stick, you want somebody in the trance of the hand being stuck. Now, I like to think in shorthand. All trances are identities. I want everything else outside of this excluded. Now, think about it like this. When you go for a challenge, you say, what happens when you try and unstick that hand now, find it sticks more solidly? You go for this challenge. Now, somebody, if they're out of that trance and they're more in the trance of the totality of who they are, they're going to go, well, of course I can unstick my hand. Because that idea of being able to unstick your hand, of having that sovereignty, is included in the broader bandwidth trance. When you narrow the trance, the idea that they can unstick their hand is no longer included. Now, for some people this happens naturally, but if it's not happening naturally, you can coach it. You can coach it to happen. You take somebody into the experience of their hand stuck, and then you're going to keep them in the experience with your challenge suggestion, inside of this experience of that hand sticking, and this experience of that hand sticking, as you experience this fully now. What happens when inside of this experience you try and unstick that hand and it just sticks inside of this experience, sticking more fully? So I do this a lot. Now, that's a kind of clunky example because I'm doing it to you, the world out there, and not inside of a real-time feedback loop working with the actual person. But if you coach them into the experience and coach them to stay in the experience, that hugely ups your success rate, your hit rate as well. Okay, so I'm going to kind of bring this into a close, and I want to just say there's a whole bunch of stuff I've just shared with you here. Depending on where you're at, it's going to depend on what you take from this. But the main takeaway I want to give you is that hypnosis isn't black and white. It's not about success, failure. It's like anything. It's like if you learn a martial art. If you go take some martial arts classes, there's a good chance somebody who doesn't really understand martial arts say, well, could you beat anyone in a fight now? And you go, well, no. And they go, what's the point of learning it then? Well, no martial artist, however, or no trained fighter, however good they get, no one is the best in the world. No one can guarantee they will always win every single fight, every single physical confrontation. What they do is they increase their odds. Through increasing their skill, they increase their odds. The more they train, the more they understand, the better they get, the more flexible they get, the more adaptable they get, the more they increase their odds. So it goes from maybe they would have got by, they would have come out on top in 50% of physical encounters. If they get to 60, 70, 80, 90, nobody ever gets to 100%. Nobody. But you can get close. And the way to get close is not through better techniques. It's not through better techniques. It is through deepening your understanding. It is through developing your skills. It is through doing internal work so you are showing up through more solid, grounded states. And it is about developing repertoires of techniques, but I would say in small chunks so you can improvise with them, like a jazz musician collects hooks, riffs, licks, so they can improvise with them, but they have a deeper understanding of patterns so they know how those hooks, riffs, and licks sit comfortably around that. Okay, if you like this video, please do click like on it. If you're curious to know more about Hypnosis Without Trance, this approach to hypnosis based on skills, please do go to the Hypnosis Without Trance website. You can get the Hypnosis Mastery Program there, the No-Fail Protocol, all manner of useful resources, learning resources, which will take you on this journey of learning skills. If you're interested in change work skills training, I have a training coming up very soon, and you'll find a link around it in Edinburgh in the UK, right towards the end of the year. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be said here, but if you have any more questions regarding hypnosis, developing your skills as a hypnotist, please do feel free to ask somewhere around and about wherever you see this video. Take very good care, and until we speak again,